do you ever say to yourself, I should know better? Like, I should absolutely know better. Why am I making these things? Well, I was literally, and you probably can't tell, but over here, you see all like over there, see all of these people over there. They are building a Taco Bell next to my Dunkin', which first of all, yay, love Taco Bell. And so I went over to grab my coffee this morning. And as I'm going around, because they've been building it, and as I'm going around the drive-through, there's this guy and he's got all his blueprints. Well, there's other guys there too, but there's a guy there and he's got his whole drawing table out. He's got all these massive pages of blueprints, and different people are coming over and looking at the blueprint and going and doing what they're doing. Why do I bring that up? Because it made me think of you, and this is why we're doing this topic in real time right now. So if not, my ADHD brain will totally forget it. Number one. Number two is these people know what they're doing, right? Like, wouldn't you kind of agree? Like, they got hired to build a Dunkin'. I'm pretty sure they didn't just go into Acme or Food Lion and be like, hey guys, thinking about building Taco Bell. You guys want to get on board? Like, no. These are people who have the knowledge. They have the tools. They know what they're doing. This does not mean, however, that they're just going to off-cuff it off the top of their head. They're not going to be like, you know what I think we should do? We should do this here, and this is how we're going to do that. No, because they need to know what is going where and how to lay it out. And even though they're aware of it, they got to go back and remind themselves. This is the same thing for you. Your issue is you think, right? Because you're going to be like, well, no, that's not how I think. That's exactly how you think. And let me tell you what I mean. You think that you're supposed to just walk in there. Let's say you have the knowledge. You're supposed to just walk in there. You don't need a blueprint because you already know this stuff and you should know already. You just go and you just do it. Oh, you made a mistake. That's stupid. You should have known. Why? We all need guidance and help. And just because you know it, just because you know the things you're supposed to do to feel better, to do these things, doesn't mean that you're going to hit that out of the park all the time. Everybody needs guidance. Everybody needs help. And the thing is, it's not shameful to ask for help. It's not like, oh, well, you didn't know how to do this. This is the same problem you may run into if you're hired out as a CMO, a chief marketing officer at a company. You have years of experience. You are great. You have a great track record, and you get hired and you're coming in. Do you automatically think you're not supposed to mess up? You will mess up. You'll be like, okay, that didn't work too well. You go back to the drawing board, literally go back to your blueprint, and you look and you say, okay, what worked, what didn't work, right? And by the way, that's probably not the first set of blueprints for that Taco Bell. Sure, they have a general schematic. Usually all Taco Bells are going to look similar, but they may have said, you know what, that's not going to work in this location. After they did all that drawing out, at no point is there one set of blueprints. Well, at the end of the day, there's one set of blueprints. It doesn't start off that way. It's the same thing for your life. So everywhere you go, in every situation, in every relationship, it's going to have a different blueprint, right? Number one, you can't go into this company thinking, I have all this knowledge, I'm supposed to be great, but that's a different company. So you're going to use a different set of blueprints. Right now, you can have a general blueprint of your life. Like these are the foundational, this is where your boundaries come into play. This is the foundational walls. We don't know. No, if it's not contributing to this blueprint of my life, then it's got to go, right? Family, friends, whomever else, that's got to go. Jobs, whatever needs to go because it's not part of your blueprint. But you got to be a hell of a lot nicer to yourself because you're not empathetic because you think just because you know what it is, if you still are like messing up or you're not sure how to do it, and you're like, oh my God, I should know this. I should know this. Wait, why should you know this? Well, because I have the tools. Yeah. So you do know it. It's not, should you know it or you should know it. You do know it. It just sometimes these are new blueprints. These are new tools, right? So when you revert back to something old, you don't get to go, well, I don't know what's wrong with me. So stupid. Well, for X amount of years, 50 years, you lived a certain way. So now you have all of these new tools on self-love and finding yourself and boundaries and all that stuff. And you think that you're not supposed to slide back? It's taking you X amount of years to get here. It's not going to be overnight. That's your other expectation. It's kind of like, let's go back to this building, this Taco Bell. I'm sure they have a deadline. They may or may not meet it. Things are out of their control. They're still on the outside building, right? They're not even on the inside yet. So if it's inclement weather, well, you can't build it. Yeah, but then you're not on the time. Don't care. It's out of your control. Mother Nature does not care about your blueprints. People and things and situations around you do not care about what your blueprints are. That's where you just have to go, okay, well, I can't turn it in at this time. It's going to be late. It's going to be whatever. But the way that you are holding yourself to this standard of perfectionism that doesn't exist, that you're holding yourself to this standard of perfectionism is such a problem, because you're holding yourself to a standard that you're not going to meet, right? You cannot meet it because it's not something that you can meet. I just need you to understand that, because the more you worry about, well, this person, because that also goes into your expectations, by the way. It isn't even just about you. It also goes into your expectations. How many times have you said, well, they should know better? Please don't do that. Please do not do that. Just because you were raised this way and you should know these things and blah, blah, blah. There was so much gaslighting and manipulation for us people, all people even today, but even in certain generations. I'm Gen X, all of these generations, we were we were raised with manipulation and gaslighting. You should know better. Okay, so you're shaming me. I do know better, but I made a mistake. And now I'm wrong because I should know better. You be careful of that you're doing the same thing to yourself. Okay? And it's like, I think for you, one of the biggest things is allowing yourself to be okay with saying, I have the blueprints, but I might need to go back and visit them. Right? That's why people stay with me for years, because it's not usually just one thing. We're also building upon that, right? So I don't have clients who are just there for one thing. I'm more diverse than that. It isn't always just about mental health. I mean, always is about self-love and mental health, but it's also about, marketing or finding you're going to start your new job, or what do you need to do if you want to get out of bankruptcy, or things like that. That's why you have to diversify yourself and realize that your blueprint is going to shift frequently. And just because you have the education and the knowledge today of something also doesn't mean that blueprint is going to pertain right now. That blueprint at Taco Bell is not going to be the same blueprint as Dunkin' Donuts. I don't care how bad you want it. I don't care if you're like, I want that Dunkin' to look just like Taco Bell. Don't care. It's not going to happen. Radical acceptance. But you got to be kind to yourself and then give that grace to other people. And if you can't do that, then you got to distance from those people. See, that's the biggest thing, is that you don't distance. You're still trying to make everybody's blueprint fit in, and then you're mad at yourself because you should have the knowledge, but then you're not using the knowledge because you're a human being. And just because you know doesn't mean that you're always going to be effective in that. Welcome to the world of being a imperfect human being. Perfectionism is not real. You will never reach perfectionism because there's no gold standard to perfectionism. I've said this to you guys before. My version of perfect weather is October. Well, we're in November now, but October, November, early daylight ending, sitting out by a fire in a hoodie, having some wine or a drink or whatever. That's perfect weather. You may be like, oh, no, I want to be at the beach. Okay. It's your version of it. Your version of it is not better than mine, and vice versa. So you can't reach a golden standard that doesn't exist. If you keep trying to reach that, it's going to be problematic. So with that being said, I want you to be a little kinder to yourself today and every day thereafter. And also understand, check yourself. Are you saying they should know better? This person should do that. Stop doing that. What about you? What are you doing? Let's come back to yourself. All right. But as for shaming yourself and feeling some kind of way, you're going to have to let that go. All right. Because if you don't, you're going to keep reaching for a goal that you're never, ever, ever, ever going to achieve.